For Sentinel.com, I'm Ira Winderman with your latest Ask Ira Miami Heat mailbag. Our first question today comes from Michael in New York, who says, as of now, the Heat roster is at 18 players, which means they need to waive 3 players, most likely Stefan Jankovic, Okero White, and Rodney McGruder. I think the best option is to trade Josh McRoberts so McGruder can stay. McGruder is raw, but has plenty of talent. What do you think the Heat will do? Who do you think they will waive? Michael, it's an interesting question, and again, I'm not even sure that this entire roster situation and the considerations with McRoberts stop at 18 players. Because I think that Beno Udrih, if he can't get an offer outside of the Heat above the minimum, basically has a standing offer to return because of what he did for the team last season by taking his buyout. The thing is with McRoberts, we have to be honest here. The Heat apparently, at least from someone involved in the situation, couldn't even unload McRoberts for nothing in return when they were trying to potentially create additional cap space, at least for a Dwayne Wade salary in 2016-17. Now you have Josh McRoberts, who also has another year on his contract, an option year for 2017-18. Not so sure that teams want to take on 2 years of a contract like that. That's why it'll be interesting to me to see how the Heat use or don't use McRoberts this season. If he doesn't play a lot, might he back out of his option, giving the Heat the cap space they're looking for? Remember, if the Heat cut McRoberts this season, they automatically would be on the hook for his entire 2017-18 salary, all of that counting against the Heat salary cap. Our next question comes from Leonard in Aventura, who says the Heat signings were done so quickly because of Tyler Johnson's contract and not wanting to use up extra cap space for him. I understand that, Leonard. The point I was trying to make in a previous post was this. While the Heat rushed out, or at least thought out the process to add Derek Williams, James Johnson, and Wayne Ellington, I'm still not so sure, even with the $4 million that they saved in the process by signing Tyler Johnson's offer sheet at the end of the process, that it might not have been better to sit back. Look, if all 3 of those players pan out, the Heat did the right thing, and we'll know about that soon enough. However, if all 3 don't pan out, then you could say to yourself, would the Heat have been smarter to wait? Maybe there was an $8 million one player available that could have helped the team more. I'm really curious. It's an interesting collection. But right now, when I look at Derek Williams, James Johnson, and Wayne Ellington, especially with Dion Waiters being added, I really wonder how any of them will fit in. Of course, the Heat have done a lot more legwork on that than I have, so we will see soon enough. And our last question comes from Philip in Singapore, who says the Heat might not any longer be an attractive free agent destination, as previously thought, not as appealing. What are your thoughts? Philip, my thoughts are this. The Heat still are located in Miami while playing a winter sport. They're still located in Florida, a state without an estate income tax. There will always be inherent advantages of being Miami's team. But I also think it's important to remember, don't get stuck in viewing the personnel market merely in terms of free agency. Trades always remain an option. That's why I think the Heat did things like retaining Hassan Whiteside and Tyler Johnson. They do have chips to put into play. Even Dion Waiters after December 15th with his small trade kicker on his relatively small salary. So there are plenty options, plenty of ways for the Heat to get better, whether some people thought the franchise took a step back in free agency this year. Those are today's 3 questions. We'll be back tomorrow with 3 more. For SunSentinel.com, I'm Ira Winderman.